So hi everyone. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be focusing this week on Excel. Remember, our foundation for this course is 3 prongs. Understanding what human resource management is, understanding what a database is and how a database works, and understanding Excel. Really enough of Excel to help you get through the course. You don't have to be an expert in Excel. Excel is important because, as I've said in previous videos, there's no HRIS that is out there that I've ever worked with that is going to give you the information that you need perfectly. You will have to take the information from the HRIS, pluck it into Excel, manipulate it to get to the answers you need to respond to a question from your boss or from the CEO. So having a basic understanding of Excel is important. And what I'm going to do today, it's not scripted. I'm going to run you through a sample classroom simulation. And I'm literally going to videotape how I work through it and will logically work you through the process. And hopefully you'll find it helpful. So please, along the way, stop. Take notes, rewind, look at things, review things to make sure that it's helpful. So let's get started. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is I have 3 different windows open. I have a blank Excel spreadsheet. I have the simulation, which is the internal memo. And I also have opened up our database, the Squirrely HRIS database. Now, and let me pull up our Canvas course. Now, again, the Canvas course that I'm showing you is the 430. The folks who are in 730, very similar look and feel, of course. You will see the Squirrely HRIS is here. Always remember to save it to your local drive, because if you do major damage to it, you can just resave it from Canvas. And here is the password that you will see for the Squirrely database. I do have a couple of Excel resources for you right here on your Canvas homepage. Here is a link here, Excel function resources. That'll take you to a website that I have used often to help me with various Excel functions, and an Excel training spreadsheet. I'll just open that up. This was the spreadsheet that we actually reviewed in a prior video. And what is important is you'll notice on the last tab of this particular spreadsheet, if you click on it and then you click here, you will get, again, a nice list, a nice resource of various Excel functions. So again, a lot of resources, a lot of help here on Canvas. And again, this is going to be a sample classroom simulation, which will give you an idea not only of the simulations, but this will also give you an idea of how to use Excel in the classroom. Our simulations, you will see, are listed here on our Canvas homepage, and we will be completing simulations throughout the semester, but you will work on them. You do not have to submit them until, ta-da, the very end of our class. And the same for 730. Wherever you see simulations, also those folks who are remote only will see the simulation on their remote only page. So let's get into it. Again, I have my 3 files, my 3 windows ready, and let's take a look at the simulation. So here is a memo that I've received from the CEO, and the CEO is looking to implement a possible bonus. And you're going to see right here that he's thinking, or she's thinking, of giving a one-time bonus to all active employees because the company has been profitable. His thought is that the bonus will be based on the person's monthly wage. So it's not annual wage, it's not hourly or weekly, it's monthly. And the CEO helps to provide some information for us right here. A couple of things. The bonus percentage will vary by company because profitability varies by company. Let us consider a month as a 4-week period. Again, he's looking, or she's looking, to have us apply a bonus to a person's monthly wage, and the CEO has defined that for us as a 4-week period. For non-exempt employees, now non-exempt employees are those folks who are paid by the hour. The CEO is being very specific. Overtime is not going to count toward the monthly wage, that we will only use straight time. So that's very important. And here, the CEO gives us the percentages. So those folks who work in Squirrely will get 10% on a monthly's wage. Those folks who work for Nuts, 15%, and for Funds, 9%. Very important, the CEO is asking for the following: the total cost by company, and then the total cost for the entire organization. So there's actually going to be 4 different pieces of data: the cost for Squirrely, Nuts, and Funds, and then the cost combined for all 3. And I may provide some additional information. So there we have what the CEO is looking for us to do, and let's start. So I have my blank spreadsheet, which we have nothing there. So that means I really need to go into my database. So here is our HR Squirrely database, and I can see a lot of information here, but all the information is going to be by person. So you can see this particular information is about Amelia Allen. And of course, she's no longer with us. She's terminated. And if I click to the next record, I get the next person, Gordon Anderson, and so forth and so on. But I really need to get enough information to figure out what a person's monthly wage is going to be, then apply the percentages, summarize the total cost by the 3 companies, and then as a whole. So what I really want to do is look at what queries I have. Now I could click here, and I can see queries, master query, queries active, and that's going to mean active employees. So what's nice about that is that someone who is terminated, like Amelia Allen, should not appear on any of the queries. So we have it by benefits, by company, so forth and so on. I think what I'm going to do, though, is because I like to see a lot of different information, is I'm going to take a look at the master query. So I can click here and get to the master query. Or I can close this dialog box by clicking here. And I can open up the navigation pane right here. Now the navigation pane is hid. I click over here and I open it up. And I'm going to scroll down until I see all my queries. Here are all my queries, and everything is alphabetical. And here is my master query. Now I've called it AQ Master, Active Employees. That EE means employees. I named it AQ because I know Access alphabetizes query names. So I know that by AQ, it will appear at the top. And you can see the other queries that we have. Query benefits, query by company, all active employees, so forth and so on. So let's open up the AQ Master query. Now, how I like to do it is I can double click on it, or I can right mouse button click, and I can see a lot of different views. I can put it in design view. I can open it up. If I put it in design view, of course, I'm going to see down here how the query was created. And let me squeegee this down. And I can also see the tables, those containers of information that feeds this particular query. So I can see a table with personal information, table with employee information, and a table with position information feeds this query. And let me just sort of move these about here. And I can also see the relationships. So the personal information query, the personal information table and the employment information table are related using the key of Social Security number. Employment information gets part of its data, specifically position information, relates to the table position information. So whatever position title is given this person's Social Security number, let's say it's John Doe. We have John Doe and a Social Security number here, and all the information for John. John Doe's Social Security number here. All this information is related. We put in a title for John, and that position title then grabs additional information. But anyways, I'm going to close this now. And notice what Access does. Here's my master window. I can go back to it. Here's my query. Once I'm in my query, I can go ahead and run it by clicking here. But I'm going to close it. Not going to save any changes. But I'm going to go back to my navigation pane. I'm going to right mouse button click. I'm going to say open, and there's my query. Now I'm going to close my navigation pane. And this is going to give me all of my active employees and a lot of information. And notice the first thing I'm looking for is I don't see Amelia Allen. And I'm happy for that because Amelia Allen is terminated. And I can show you why Amelia Allen doesn't show up. If I go into design view, this right here is saying a person's disposition in employment information. If their disposition is termination, do not show it. That's what those two symbols mean. But let's go back. And open it up again. So I think the information is fine. Let's take a look what we have. Now what's very important is I need to have company name, and I do. I need to have monthly wage, which I really don't. I have wage here, which is for salary weekly. And then for the hourly folks, I just have their hourly rate. Then over here, I have all their annual wage. So I don't have anything monthly. I have their position title, who their manager is, and I have a lot of other nice, great information that I may or may not use. So what I'm going to do is I want to move all of this into Excel and begin to manipulate it. So right up here in the upper left-hand corner of the query is a box. I'm going to click on it, and it highlights all that information. I'll right mouse button click and copy. I'm going to call up my Excel spreadsheet. Already cell A1 is active. I'm going to right mouse button click, paste options. I have two options I can paste, and I think I like this. Paste. So I have just, let me minimize this. I've just copied all the information from my HRIS into an Excel spreadsheet that I can manipulate. Let me close the query. It's done its job for me. Minimize access. Go back to my spreadsheet, maximize. Now I'm going to notice that I have some information. Let me click that. I'm going to see some strangeness. I'm going to see hashtags. I think if I just do that, yep, by expanding a column, the hashtags disappear. I have hashtags here. Another way of doing it is if I just hover over the boundary there, and I think if I double click, yep, automatically does it for me. And you can see like disposition is sort of cut off. If I double click that, I can make all of these columns nice and square-like. But let me just squeegee some of these back, because really what I'm interested in is what a 4-week wage is going to look like. Now, one of the things that I don't need is I don't need this first row, which is just a title, so I'm going to click on it, then right mouse button click and delete. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to keep this information pure, just in case I make mistakes, which I will. So I'm going to go down to my tab. I'm going to right mouse button click, rename. And call it base data. So base data will always be just that, my original data. Let me create a new tab. There we go. Let me go back to my base data now, and let me copy and paste. Same process. From base data to sheet 2. And here's where I'm going to now do some manipulation. Now, one of the things you're going to see is already there's a bonus eligible column. That does not apply to this simulation. This simulation is the president, or I'm sorry, the CEO wants to do something special for folks because, hey, we're profitable. It's not an annual bonus. So what I think I'm going to do is this information here is important, as is this information, these two, right? And I'm going to have to make a calculation. So let me do this. I'm going to insert, I'm going to highlight this column, right mouse button, click and insert a column. I'm going to call it 4-week wage. Whoa, typo. 4-week wage. There we go. And I'm probably going to have to, well, I know I'm going to have to use an if statement because I have variability here. So I'm going to start up here. Click in that cell. And let me type one in. If this well, hold on for a second. One of the mistakes I made, I did not start with an equal sign. Always start your functions with an equal sign. Told you this was unscripted. So equal if this cell equals salary, then I know this is the weekly wage. So then I'm going to multiply it times 4. So if it's not salary, that's going to be hourly. So then I will take this and multiply it times 160. There. Now, I want to right mouse button click and format it. Currency. We'll round up. And this makes sense to me. Gordon Anderson gets $800 a week in a 4-week period, $3,200. That makes sense. It gets trickier, of course, with the hourly folks. Now to copy the formula down, I've clicked on the cell, and you're going to see in the lower right-hand corner there's a handle. I can just hover over that handle, it becomes a plus sign. Left mouse button click and keep it clicked and drag it down. And there you go. Copies it down. Now, how does it work for the hourly folks? Let's take a look. Here is an hourly person, Mary Ince. Mary gets $18 an hour. Let's take a look at the formula. If J19 equals salary, well, J19 does not equal salary. And how the if statement works is you always read it from left to right. So if J19 equals salary, you do what's next. But if it does not equal salary, you do what comes after the second comma. You're going to take what is in I-19 and multiply it by 160. So the next question you're going to have is, Phil, where did you get 160? It's very simple. An hourly person will be scheduled to work 40 hours a week for 4 weeks. That is 40 times 4, 160. So I like what I see in this column. I'm going to do this. Make it yellow. The other column of importance is here. Company. I'm going to make it yellow. And because this column requires this information and that information, I'm going to make it green. Now there are some columns I don't need. I'm going to highlight them, right mouse button click delete. Don't need annual wage, or if they're management, well, maybe I do need management. Yeah, so I'll leave that. Position and manager, function, I'll leave all this other stuff. So I have in this tab the information that I need. So I'm just going to call it data to use. So I'm really getting there, and I kind of like what I see. And again, the reason why I kept this tab, base data, is because if I really mess things up here, I could delete the tab, create a blank new tab, and then recopy the data into the blank new tab. But I'm in pretty good shape so far. So wait a second, it just occurred to me. I need one additional column of data. I have the 4-week wage, I have the company, but I don't have what the bonus is. And remember, the bonus calculation, yes, is based upon the 4-week wage, but it's also based upon the company. So before I go about creating the pivot, let me add that information. So I'm going to insert a column. Oh, not for a week, I'm going to call it bonus. And I'm going to use another if statement. And this is going to be a nested if. It's actually going to be two ifs in one. Again, don't freak out. Read left to right, and we're going to be logical. Again, start with an equal sign, equal if this cell equals, and because it's a text, use the quotation marks, squirrely. I'm going to take that 4-week wage, multiply it by 0.10 or 10%, because that's the bonus for squirrely. So now I have two remaining companies, Funds and Nuts. So I'm going to do another if statement. If, open parentheses, the company equals Nuts, then I would take the 4-week wage times 0.15 or 15%. I like the looks of that. So if the company's not squirrely, it's not nuts, then what remains will follow this last comma. Take the 4-week wage times 0.09, 9%. And I'm going to end it now with two closing parentheses. Why? Because I have two if statements. Hit enter. 320. Squirrely, 10%. 10% of 3,200, 320. I like it. But now let's test it. I can copy it down, but before I copy it down, let me format it. Right mouse button click, format cells, currency, no decimal points, okay. Grab that handle, drag it down. Perfect. Now let's see if the calculations make sense. Funds, 9%. Looks good to me. Nuts, 15%. 900, yep, 15% of 6,000. Perfect. So now, with these three columns, I have all the data I need to now have some fun with a pivot table. So I'm going to click on the pivot worksheet or tab, insert, pivot table. It's going to ask me for two things. Where do I want to get the data? And then where do I want to put the pivot table and the resulting data? Well, let's handle this first. Right now it's going to put the existing worksheet in the location in the worksheet pivot. Right here. That's where we want it. I'm fine with that. But I have to tell Excel where to get the information to manipulate. And that goes right up in here. And the cursor is clicking, so it's awaiting my instructions. So I want to tell Excel to get the data from the data to use worksheet right here. So I'm going to click on it, drag all the way over, done. Take the information from data to use, A to T, A all the way down to T, put it in the pivot worksheet. Let's see what happens. I'm there. Perfect. So I'm going to now drag and drop some of my fields. I'm going to see all my fields. Here are my important fields. So I'm just going to put 4K down here. That's putting them all. I want to try to do it by company. So let me now drag the company, but put it right in front. Right? See how it turned green? Let up. So now I have funds and all the 4 weeks. Let me do bonuses. There we go. Company, 4-week wage bonus. I don't think I need the 4-week wage though, because all the CEO wants to know is what it's going to cost the company. So I'm going to click on that and put it back. There we go. I think I'll try this. I'm going to put bonus over here. Value field. Count. So we have 19 employees and funds. Here are their bonuses. 9 in nuts. 21 in squirrely and their bonuses. Can I take the bonus now? Put it here. Summarize. There we go. So the cost for funds will be $7,300 for 19 employees. The cost for nuts, $6,100 and change for 9. And for squirrely, $9,500 and change for 21. Oh, and I have the grand total. 49 employees, almost $23,000. Now, what I did was I just started to play here. And if I really wanted to be detailed, I could take the first name and put that there. Well, first name kind of does make sense. Let me get first name out. Put last name down there. There we go. And we can see Anderson, squirrely, what the bonus would be. And it's always going to be alphabetical. Now, if I took this company, click and move it above the company field, above last name, now I like that. So now I have all of the employees' names for funds, all of them for nuts, and so forth and so on. So I like that. And I could really get more detailed. But pretty much, let me take the last name out. The president is looking for this information here, this information, this information, and this information. So my next step would be to write a memo in response, give him the 4 data points he's looking for, and I will save this Excel spreadsheet to my local drive just in case that CEO comes back with some more questions. I'll be able to respond using my pivot table and my spreadsheet. So I hope this video has helped you in terms of understanding Excel, in grabbing information from the HRIS, putting it into Excel, and manipulating it in a way that makes sense to be able to provide the information to the CEO. Some key points for you: start off with your base data, keep it pure, copy it into another worksheet that you will manipulate it. I like to highlight those columns that I'm really going to need and use moving forward, and also highlight those columns that are kind of feeder data point information. I'm not going to use this information in the pivot table, even though it's available to me, but I'm only going to use it to create this information. And then a separate worksheet for the pivot table and then I begin to experiment in such a way with the fields that I get the information I'm looking for. And what's critical is using the down or the down ribbon functionality and taking a look at your value field settings, where you can count things, summarize things, and average things. I wanted a count of the bonus that gave me number of employees, and I wanted a sum of the bonus that summarized that data for me. I hope you found this video helpful, and please don't hesitate to review it a couple of times. Hopefully you took notes. Don't hesitate to rewind in some areas if you have to. So until our next video, have a wonderful and safe day. Thank you.